Hadi Chopan's win. Hadi Chopan wins the 222 Mr. Olympia. Boah, das hat aber ein heftiges Intro, Freunde. Komm, das war brutal. Schubert, 8547, danke dir fürs Abo.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power.
So, ich mache mal wieder die Chatbox weg, damit man das hier besser sehen kann. Also, und mich mache ich mal hier nach oben. Jetzt passt das doch alles. Hier haben wir nochmal alle Athleten in einer Reihe. Platz 1, Platz 2, Platz 3, Platz 4 ganz links und Platz 5 ganz rechts. So, gucken wir mal, was wir hier zu sehen bekommen im Video.
And wow, we witnessed history tonight. This was one of the most exciting Olympias I think I've ever seen. I think it was one of the hardest predict Olympias that I've ever seen.
Voll, nicht nur in der Open, sondern auch in der Classic war es, also die Predictions waren echt sehr, sehr schwer. Da war was Vernünftiges zu sagen, Alter.
And it was a
Die Medaille bei Ramy sieht total verhungert aus. Ich schwör's dir, die kann der beim nächsten Schrotthändler abgeben, kriegt er noch 50 Euro für. Schönes Kupfer.
battle to the very end, but I think the end result was so deserved. Hadi Chopan wound
Hadi Chopan.
up winning the 2022 Mr. Olympia. Since 2019, Hadi has been the most conditioned guy in the Olympia lineup. I think since 2019, you could have made an argument at each one of those Olympias, 19, 20, and 21, for Hadi to be higher than he was, and he was in third place on multiple occasions, so he would have been top 2, or winning the show. I think a lot of people have argued that Hadi could have won some of those Olympias based on his just incredibly consistent conditioning. So this, to me, is a really feel-good moment.
Okay, wenn man das Bild jetzt betrachtet, sieht Ramy von der Seite wieder unfassbar krank aus, ne? Was die Condition angeht. Und hier haben wir auch direkt Samson Dauda mit im Vergleich. Also hier von der Seite ist Ramy wieder richtig krass, Alter. Wobei der Bauch da nicht richtig unter Kontrolle ist, ne?
Even though Ramy, the defending champion, placed very low, and we're going to talk about that, of course, in a minute, but I do think this is a very celebratory moment, because honestly, this really is a...
So, und da haben wir, Junge, sogar von hier hinten sieht man diese Beule extrem krass. Und das ist keine Muskulaturbeule. Die Beule ist von etwas anderem, Freunde.
long time coming for Hadi Chopan. He did what he does best, and he came in with that crazy conditioning, and he won the show. Now, the other results, and these results I feel like are really directly representative of hearkening in the new era of bodybuilding.
Mit Samson Dauda auch, was für ein brachiales Paket hier, ne? Völlig irre, Alter, wie der aussieht. Richtig gruselig.
Talked about it for so many years. These young guys that are coming up, they've had these fast rising stars in bodybuilding. They've been winning the other shows like the Arnolds, like the New York Pros. They've been top placers at the Olympia. They've been top 10. But now I think that new era of young bodybuilders is officially here. Derek Lunsford at his first Olympia ever in men's open bodybuilding, taking second place, and I think that was well-deserved. I said this at prejudging. I think of all the guys that came out, Derek was the guy that impressed me
Der hat die meisten geschockt, Derek. Unglaublich.
the most. I mean, I think a lot of us were expecting Derek to do
Guck mal, wie massiv Derek aussieht. Da kann er sogar mit Ramy mithalten. In der Latzbrett-Pose von vorne. Das ist unglaublich, Digga.
well, but I think he was the guy that really over-delivered beyond expectation of how well he
Brandon auch von der Seite richtig fleischig, ne? Unglaublich, Mann.
thought he could, or how well we thought he could do here. When he came out, I think everybody was just floored with how good he looked in this division coming over from 212. He did not look small at all. He fit right in this division. He looked phenomenal. V-taper, the structure that he brought, the conditioning. And shout out to Hani Rambod, man. Hani coached both of these guys. He has
krass.
2 Olympia wins on his coaching resume this year. His Chris Bumstead won Classic. Hadi just won Open.
Stimmt. Komplett verplant, Alter. Nein, doch. Ja klar, beide sind bei dem. Chris Bumstead ja jetzt neu, ich habe das voll nicht mehr auf dem Schirm gehabt, obwohl wir darauf ein paar Mal reagiert haben. Hani Rambot hat beide im Coaching und der hat einfach am Wochenende in beiden Klassen die Jungs gewinnen lassen. Das ist doch irre, Alter. Völlig Banane.
And then runner-up in Open.
Und Derek auch. Ja, das ist krank. Überlegt mal. Das ist doch nicht normal.
And Derek Lunsford. So Hani Rambod with a very clean sweep at this Olympia. Third place, Nick Walker.
Also wenn ich ein bisschen Knete auf Seite hätte, ne, dann würde ich definitiv auch mal zu Hani Rambot gehen, Alter.
Very happy to see this. Nick
Richtiger Magier.
looked amazing. Nick deserved top 3. In my predictions, I had him in 4th. I think he did deserve higher than 4th. He looked better than I expected he would look here. In 3rd place, awesome for Nick. Now, 4th and 5th, this is where I feel like the old guard is really getting pushed back. In this new era is really making a statement, because this was your top 2 from last year that are now in 4th and 5th. Brandon Curry in 4th place, and I think that was a deserved placing. And Big Ramy in 5th place. I think the most surprising placing of the night, aside from Hadi Chopan winning. Which I do think is unfortunate for Ramy. I think he looked a lot better at the finals than he looked at prejudging. And then shortly after prejudging, well, the next day we learned that he had...
Jede Kameraperspektive, jedes Licht und so weiter macht nochmal was, tut nochmal was zur Form. Ne? Manchmal sehen die völlig zugelaufen aus, manchmal sehen die ultra shredded aus. Das ist ganz, ganz komisch bei den Aufnahmen hier. Ich glaube, da muss man, das sind alles individuelle Preise, je nach Ziel, aber ich glaube, der nimmt auch nicht jeden an. Kann ich mir nicht vorstellen, dass der jeden annimmt.
This injury, we saw these lumps on his quads and his glutes, but I think the revelation of this injury that he's dealing with is probably the biggest part of this, because I noticed a lot more at finals.
Was sind das bitte für Beulen, Alter?
There were some poses.
Das darf doch nicht passieren, sowas.
That he did really struggle with. Even though he looked better at finals, there were some poses where it looked like he was struggling to hit
Posen auch, der konnte ja auch gar nicht richtig halten. Ne?
hit the pose, and I think that was a result of this injury. And I think those little details of him not being able to fully complete a pose in certain poses, I think that could have been a big factor in why he placed where he did. Now, I still think that Ramy, he looked decent. I did predict him to win. I'm eating my words. I was 100% wrong. That being said, I still am surprised he placed as low as...
Jeder hat Ramy auf 1 gesetzt wieder dieses Jahr. Jeder.
He did. I thought he might be top 3 or maybe 4th, him and Nick battling it out in that 3rd or 4th place spot after what we saw in finals. I'm glad he's not in 6th. I'm glad he was in the top 5. But I really did feel like he didn't...
Ich glaube, das war's jetzt auch mit Ramy. Ich glaube, der wird nie wieder Mr. Olympia. Keine Ahnung warum. Kann ich mir beim besten Willen nicht vorstellen, dass da nochmal was kommt in Zukunft.
Look horrible. I'm surprised they knocked him as hard as they did, because of the fact, like I said, this is not a typical circumstance for a reigning Mr. Olympia. There's definitely been reigning Mr. Olympias that have come in and lost their title. It happens. But I don't think it's ever happened that someone has won the year before and came in 5th the following year. And that's why I was so shocked that they didn't compare Ramy with the rest of the field like as much as they did the other guys. They kept him in the
Was für ein Scheißlicht, ne?
same position, didn't move him from the end. And I almost wonder if there's any politics involved in this decision. Now, granted, I don't think after watching this that this decision was a bad decision. I think Hadi Chopan deserved the title. I think he looked phenomenal. He really brought it. And I don't disagree with that victory at all. I think Hadi Chopan did deserve to win. But the little conspiracy theorist inside of me wonders. We did have these controversies with Ramy blowing off these guest appearances. He didn't do the big guest posing in Pittsburgh. And Derek did. Derek actually filled in for Ramy. Derek wound up in 2nd here. A lot of people said that Ramy wasn't doing much to represent the title. He wasn't making appearances. He wasn't really active on social.
Ich glaube nicht, dass das irgendwie ausschlaggebend war. Dass der da sich zu wenig gezeigt hat, der Ramy als Mr. Olympia. Nein, es war einfach die Form, die war einfach beschissen, Digga.
Social media until the weeks right before the Olympia. Could there have been a political factor that played into this decision? Because like I...
Ja, Bro, die haben den im Vorfeld auf 1 gesetzt, weil er die letzten Jahre sehr dort war und die letzten Jahre gewonnen hat, ne, im Mr. Olympia. Weil wenn Ramy in Condition kommt, ist er halt sehr, sehr schwer zu besiegen, obwohl er so verbaut ist. Ne? Aber dieses Jahr hat sich das alles nochmal irgendwie definitiv nochmal verschlechtert. Ne?
I said, I still think it's unusual that they didn't move Ramy at all. Prejudging most of the finals until the very end, where they did move Ramy into the center for the very end of the last call out. But to not, I just think it's weird to leave the defending champion on the outside, because like I said, if you're going to make that decision to drop him that low, I would have thought you'd been comparing him more to make sure that was the correct decision, because this is, make no mistake, this is history that we're witnessing right here. Ramy placing this low and Hadi winning. This is a really big moment for bodybuilding, and seeing Nick Walker and Derek Lunsford, like I said, doing as well as they did, and then, you know, Ramy and Brandon on the outside looking in of that top three is a big deal.
Ja, ich weiß, den Chat sieht man nicht, weil sonst sieht man Big Ramy zum Beispiel nicht jetzt hier an der Seite. Habe ich deaktiviert den Chat für dieses Video.
And this Olympia really delivered. This is what I wanted to see. This was exciting. This was a great result. And like I said, like we all said,
Ich finde auch, dieses Jahr wurde richtig gut gejudged. Ja, ohne Politik, ohne irgendeinen Scheiß. Richtig gut.
going into this was the most wild card, anything can happen Olympia, based on that competitor list, based on the guys that were doing this show. And we got a wild card, anything can happen result. We got a break from the norm. We got a brand new champion, a brand new top three. We got a guy.
Stellt euch mal vor, so ein Sibam, das ist jetzt ein dummer Vergleich, aber stellt euch mal vor, irgendwas verkackt und dann wird der einfach Fünfter oder Sechster, Junge. Völlig irre, Alter.
That has
Oder die werden alle krank, dann wird Mike Sommerfeld Champion.
never competed in Open as the runner-up. We got Nick Walker in third place, brand new, first time in the top three at the Olympia.
Hadi war voll Wachs in den Schultern. Wenn der voll mit Wachs ist in den Schultern, dann bringt nichts. Da passiert nichts, wenn du dir Wachs in die Schultern injizierst, mein Lieber.
Should also mention, as far as the top 10 go, you also had
Und das macht, glaube ich, niemand.
Bonac, Andrew Jacked, Rafael Brandau, and Hunter Labrada in there, and Michael Crizzo and Ian Valier wound up outside of the top 10. So those were two guys that were in the conversation that ended up not placing within the top.
So, damit beenden wir auch dieses Video. Sehr, sehr schön hier analysiert und besprochen vom Nick. Und wie gesagt, nochmal, zu Recht, Glückwunsch schon mal an Hadi Chopan, der hat es wirklich brutal hinbekommen. Richtig, richtig nice. Platz 1 gönne ich ihm von Herzen, hat er sich auf jeden Fall verdient.